Wow, would you look at this? Just like the glory days, my friends. Welcome back to the TNC Podcast, and it's live. So good to have you back once again. We were just saying off air, it feels really strange doing these over the internet once more. But we thought with Birmingham in the Cup, the massive game that is the Carabao Cup, what is it, first round, second round, something like that, we weren't going to have the time to do it otherwise. So we thought we'd jump on here, we'd have a chat with all of you, and we'd have some fun, because at the end of the day, Norwich City are coming off the back of a huge result, drawing 1-1 at home to Wigan Athletic. Chris, how's things?
Mate, sunny day.
This is fun, isn't it?
It's back. It's back. Oh, God, I missed that thing. I just sort of realised, as I was sitting here before we started, Jack, I thought, good God, we spent half that season pissed, didn't we?
Well, not only that, but we literally spent what felt like 6 continuous months sat in our spare bedrooms.
It got to the, I think people think that it was like just sitting on camera. I was knackered by the end.
That's all we did. You couldn't go outside, could you? You couldn't. That was all we did.
I was surprised. I'm surprised that we managed to sustain our relationships as well. But there you go, mate. I'm actually buzzing. I'm actually in a really good mood. The sun is shining. The doves are crying, and I'm feeling really, really great.
Are you? What about life or Norwich?
Don't know. After digesting some of the comments online, I was a bit not so sure. And then I heard Darren's debrief exclusively on TalkNorwichCity, and of course Darren Eady, and we've of course got the original Dean Ashton on the channel this season as well. They always talk sense, and I think Darren Eady summarised it very well and sort of put me at ease. There's this sort of phrase being bandied about. There's green shoots to what is happening at Norwich City at the moment. I must admit, I'm looking at the table thinking, well, we're just above the rally zone. But to be honest with you, mate, I'm really liking the look of these new signings. This is exactly why I tweeted what I did after the first game around the criticism of Smith. Do I think it's justified? Yes. Do I think it was over the top? Absolutely. And I think now we've got some huge league games coming up. And by the way, a big cup game as well, right? You know, start the new boys, start some of these players that need some minutes, and I'm really excited to see what they can do.
Absolutely. Well, look, we're going to be discussing the Wigan game, the new signings. We'd love to hear all of your thoughts. We'll get your comments up. As always, this is very much an interactive show. It also helps because we've got barely a running order. So please do give us content that we can talk about. We're drinking Laken's this evening, as always. 20% off. Link in the description. Chris is even repping Laken's merch, which I assume you've lost your iron, have you, Chris?
Oh, stop that. Stop that from you. And also, before we get into the chat, Jack, let's give a quick shout out to the TalkNorwichCity sponsors this season. We can't do it without them, can we, Jack?
Absolutely. Well, no, we can't. No, that's very true. No, they've been superb. Are you shouting them out or am I?
I mean, you can go for it if you want. I'm happy to.
No, you go for it. You've teed it up nicely.
Okay then, matey. So we've got Aldred's Estate Agents. We've got Big C, of course, one of our official charity partners.
Also, just quickly on Big C, I went on there today because I was donating a couple of quid, and we're nearly at 27k raised now. So it'd be amazing to get to 30 this season. I think that's well within our reach.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can do it, especially with the help of the TNC / Norwich City community. Indeed, Credo Asset Finance, they're back on board again. Hoffer and Webb, the Hoff, the American HMS Pistol League. A lot of you would have seen him on our socials. The mighty Eastern Voice and Data. Norfolk and Waveney Mind, new, of course, mental health being vitally important to today's society, something that we all need to back and get behind. So they're another official charity partner. Gasway, don't forget Hill Coaching, and Laken's, they're back, of course.
Oh, they're back.
And new to the channel, I'm going to give them a massive special shout out, is Nor Chocolate. Nor Chocolate. It is an unbelievable, local, sustainable, environmentally friendly, lovely chocolate brand. And I've wanted to work with them for a long, long time, and they're on board. And there's going to be some super, super exciting offers for you guys. But I'll just tease you to begin with. Because
go on, tickle me with your gnaw. Go on.
They have dropped off some chocolate today, and my goodness me, did it get me going, Jack? I tell you.
Did it?
All, these are what come in the post. It is blue, slightly white, so I think I might complain about that, but don't worry. There's yellow boxes.
Oh, look at that. Do you get anything in the box? Because the box is good enough.
It's just the perfect gift, isn't it, Jack? Well, anyway, they rocked up, and I thought Norfolk Constabulary were going to come around at the same time, thinking I'd robbed it off the back of a lorry.
Oh my God.
Honestly, mate, the variety is quite something. There's caramel buttons, milk chocolate buttons, and in terms of the bars, I mean, where do you begin? There is so much variety available, and that is the wonderful thing. So
look at this, by the way. There's no greater advertisement for Knorr chocolate than Charlie, who says, "My dog once nicked a whole bar of Knorr and ate the lot. Wasn't even ill. Dog friendly."
Dog friendly. Well, don't think we should say that.
No, but honestly, Knorr are really exciting. You can head over to their website and pick up some of their genuinely brilliant Norfolk chocolate. But we will be having a discount code very soon. But not.
I mean, talk to me about these flavors: banoffee pie, happy birthday. I don't know what that means. Raspberry crisp, salted caramel. I mean, I feel like I'm on that. What's that TV show where you sell things?
Antiques Roadshow.
QVC.
I'm glad it's arrived at yours because I'm trying to lose weight, and that we've now got a beer sponsor, which is just terrible for my gut, and now a chocolate sponsor. Look at this from Took's Family Time. Knorr are amazing. That's incredible. Anyway, should we talk about some football, Chris?
Yeah, let's do that, mate. But you cover because I need to get a bar of chocolate open.
Oh, fine. Okay, open it up and maybe get that in the fridge a bit because otherwise that's going to be melted chocolate. Let's get a few little. Oh, look at this. Ruben loves the Knorr hot chocolate, top tier stuff. Ooh. Have you got any of those stirrers in there? The old Knorr stirrers.
I tell you what, matey. The hot chocolates. I have been tipped off today. There is a wonderful range of hot chocolates coming this festive season. So
that gets
blokes, I know there's a lot of blokes listening. I know buying presents for your other half is an absolute nightmare. An absolute banker, like a Timu Pookie up front, is buying some Knorr chocolate. I'm actually opening the banoffee pie chocolate tonight.
Have you had your dinner, or are you going to spoil it with that?
I'll tell you what, this is one hell of a combo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious me.
I know. Yeah. We must talk about football. But everyone's loving the sponsors.
Do we kick off with Cardiff, mate? Should we go?
Yeah, I think I think let's just, while you eat chocolate, let me talk because.
Oh my! Wow.
Good.
That's special. That is seriously special. Goodness gracious.
Good. Very good.
I'm going to be piling on the pounds this season, people.
Also, this is nice from Took's Family. They helped my wife with supplies for our shoebox charity project for Leeway. That's very good. Yeah, they're good people over at North. They really are. Right. Anyway, football. We must talk about it. Cardiff. The positive from Cardiff, and yes, I have been trying to find positives. There is one. We limited Cardiff to no shots within our box, which is positive. Defensively, I think we look fairly sound. I know we've conceded against Cardiff and Wigan. I think against Wigan, if we replay that game 900 times, we win it 99 times. I think we were good. I think we created chances. It was a defensive error from Ben Gibson. I think he had a poor game. He would admit that. I'm not fully sure if he was 100% fit, but he had to play due to Grant Hanley's incompetence in the game before. And it was a well-taken goal from Wigan. I thought we created chances. We should have had a penalty. Look, another day that kind of switches around, and we're suddenly talking about 3 points. Ricky, thanks for the super chat. Ricky says, "So happy to see TNC boys back in the Championship." We're not, Ricky. Yeah. No, I hate seeing you again. He says, "You'll be happy to know that Birmingham are still Birmingham. Although we've got off to a good start with PP scoring on Friday night. The Polish Messi." The Polish Messi.
By the way, talk to me about that. And typical bloody luck. I mean, everyone's seen that touch. up against the Barclay last season. But do you know what? Fair play. What I would say is Birmingham fans' expectations and understanding of good footballers is quite low. So, I suspect if he makes one pass at Birmingham, he'll be highly acclaimed and will win Player of the Season. But no, look, great to see PP off the mark. As I've always rated him. You know, mate. I've said it. I've said it. It's out there. It's clipped up, Jack. It's clipped.
We're 2 games in. You're coming out with nonsense already.
PP baller. PP. He's a baller, mate.
Oh. I tell you a winger who is a baller, and Lauren talks about him here. I really want to see Onel Hernandez start more games. He has so much potential. I think this is a great point, Chris. We saw Onel come on against Wigan, with 20 minutes to go, and I know that his end product leaves something to be like. We all know his end product isn't a polished version, but I think if he was, he would be like a top half Premier League player. He's got the pace. He's got the ability to take on a player, but he puts defenders on the back foot, and I don't think we get that with Rashica, with Sargent. What do you think? Would you have him starting? Would you start him in the cup game on Tuesday night, or would you wait for the league game on Saturday?
Yeah, I do think I would give Onel minutes. Actually, I wouldn't rest him. I'd be getting him up to speed again. I want to cross this bridge, actually. I'm so pleased that, and big up to Lauren, by the way, proper friend of TNC she is. I really want to address this because people know that we know Onel, right? And people are like, oh, you're biased, this and that. I saw people say, oh, because he's had a podcast, you're lighter on him, blah, blah, blah. We're not. Let's be clear. Let's be clear here, okay? He had a cracking chance, right, to get a shot away at the weekend, and he didn't.
Yeah, good point.
Cool. And I know we say it all the time. He'll know that, but he will know that, right? But what's really encouraging, and why I don't understand the criticism, is people have said, well, why do you not criticise Onel, but you do criticise Josh Sargent? Well, Josh Sargent's price tag is up here. It's like literally at the point where I'm actually thinking about claiming for fraud. And Onel Hernandez we basically got for 50p in a Mars bar, right? So I think for me, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking he's a title winner, a 2-time title winner, might I say. Okay, so he's got that experience, he's got that character, and people are labeling character and passion as bad things. This squad has lacked that under Daniel Farke in the Premier League. We need that back in. People say, oh, just because he's got a Norwich City tattoo, this isn't that. Nonsense. What I saw at the weekend, actually, was that he is, whether people like it or not, at the moment, our best winger at the football club. Okay? Yeah. I'm not necessarily saying that that's a 10 out of 10 performance, but what I am saying is Onel Hernandez breaks down the lines very, very well. And yes, there's some work to be done on the end product. We get that. I understand the thoughts and feelings of that. But he's the least of our worries. Like, we've got a whole team to work on. And I think if Onel Hernandez plays as he did against Wigan and actually starts games of football, I think that you'll find he'll do very well. And something that I do want to add, which I'm not sure people are fully aware of, Jack, is that Dean Smith actually wanted to sign Onel Hernandez when he was at Brentford. And he was actually very close to signing for Norwich City, for Brentford, until the Brentford chairman passed away, sadly. And then he ended up coming to Norwich City. So Dean Smith really likes Onel Hernandez. He really wants to get the best out of him. And I think that's a really good positive. And hey, by the way, do you know what? Onel Hernandez off the bench, yeah, I'll have a bit of that with my slice of toast in the morning, because he will absolutely smash the team's back doors down. And I'm really excited to see it this season.
Quite, it's certainly a good way of putting it. I think the whole wingers discussion is a fascinating one. I'm going to raise the name of Milo Rashica, because I must say I thought some of the criticism around him last season was slightly harsh. I thought he was one of our brighter players. I know the statistics didn't necessarily back that up, and I understand that we're in a fact-based game, and over the course of the season his output wasn't good enough. But yeah. I must say, I feel as if he's been one of the most disappointing players in the first couple of games. I've watched him, hasn't been willing to take on a man, hasn't delivered a cross. We saw him in that second half down the right side where we sit. It was right in front of us and just a really disappointing kind of afternoon. Now, I know that he was a big part in the build-up to the goal, and that was impressive. But I'm looking at a man who, was £8 million or whatever. And I'm expecting more from him in the second tier of English football. Would you agree, Chris?
Yeah, I would agree with that, Jack. And one of the things that I always reference to and always intrigued me about Milo is he was clearly a player that they knew they had to get going and make work. And arguably one of the things that you could criticize Smith and Shaky for, if you want to put him in the room, is that they've not managed to get the best out of Milo Rashica right now. I remember his first game, Southampton at home, of course, that 1-0 win. And they were honestly, they spent most of their time barking at Milo Rashica.
I remember that, yeah.
Pulling him left, right, coming in here, Milo, run, track, press. And that's an interesting shout from Tom. I'm not sure I buy that he doesn't want to be here, but I do think he knows that his quality is at least Premier League, right? But
it's frustrating, isn't it? Because I think Rashica is the one man in the squad where you look and go, we kind of know there's more from you. There's nothing to say that there's more from Josh Sargent. I think we've just signed and done there. And I think a lot of the other players are slightly limited in their ability. But with Rashica, that there's something more, and I'm just not seeing it at the moment. And that's a real frustration because it felt as if, particularly with Matt Aarons behind him, if you get Rashica firing, that's a really formidable right side of the pitch then. And I just haven't really seen it. And then you've, of course, got the discussion of Josh Sargent. Now, I know he will kind of split debate. I was surprised with some of the backlash I got when I criticised him at the weekend. Lots of people were saying the championship's going to be cut out for him. He's tall. I'm saying what other people are saying. He's strong. He's kind of quick. I don't think he's good enough for this division. I really don't.
I do. So I know where you're coming from. I can understand why you got stick for that tweet, Jack, because of the way that you worded it, right? And I think
he's inept.
Yes.
Well, what have you got any proof to say otherwise? He hasn't scored goals in the Premier League, and he doesn't look like scoring goals in this division. And we signed him for £8 million.
Yeah, I can't defend Sargent. I'm not going to come on here and defend Sargent, but I do think you're a little bit harsh because I do think we need to give him some time to get into this championship season. Although saying that, I'll be surprised if he starts the next game.
If those, I'll say one chance, but I think there was probably two in there against Wigan. If those chances fall to Timu Pukki, does Timu score the ones that Josh had?
Hypothetically, yes.
Yeah.
And the thing that I would criticise Josh over, which I'm actually really trying hard to defend him, is I was so angry at the weekend because he'd just come on and he wasn't even pressing. He wasn't even pressing. And people have said to me, and I've said before to you, Jack, Sargent's strength is that aerial dominance. It's his pressing. And he came on against Wigan and he didn't even look match fit, dare I say, Jack. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm talking out of line here. But look, I think we just need to be a little bit more patient on Josh. I'm trying to speak some good energy into the room here, though.
No, this is a fair point. He did only play 10 minutes, but I'm going off of not just a 10-minute sample size. I'm going off over 12 months. Tom says, which is an interesting one, Hugill is better than Sargent, despite the profile picture. Now, Jordan Hugill is surely one of the most frustrated men in Norfolk at the moment, Chris. He banged in goals in pre-season and now not starting. I mean, I'm not saying he should start because I think Timu is a better player and I'm not overly convinced with two up front. But if you're Jordan Hugill, you'll go, what more do I need to do?
Well, do you know what? I'll say something perhaps a little controversial here.
It's not like you.
I love Timu so much, but after Jordan Hugill's pre-season, I think Smith's made a mistake starting Pukki. I'm sorry, don't get me wrong, technically and experience and winning the titles and all of that. I think Timu Pukki's obviously the best striker at the club, right? But in the system that Smith wants to play, in the style that we're trying to develop, and the types of chances that we're getting, I think it might be Jordan Hugill's type of game. And he almost came on, didn't he? But unfortunately gone. Although what I would say, Jack, is I've not heard or sort of got the picture that Jordan, like, I'm sure maybe there is an element of frustration, but I think the great thing about Jordan as a character is that he is not in a complacent way, but in a good way. I think he's a very good team player, and he's not going to kick up a fuss, and he'll do what he can, and he'll fight for the team. And so I am very confident in the fact that when Jordan gets his chance, just like he did under Farker, he'll deliver.
Yeah, and you do look back at that last championship,
in the championship,
and he didn't get too much game time. But yes. I remember, I think it was Bristol City at home. He scored an important penalty away from home. Like big moments, he often steps up. And look, it's a long, demanding season. He will get chances because we're limited up front. Back to the Milo Rashica debate.
Cheers,
Chris, thanks so much, Chris. There's nothing about Milo's performance that he doesn't want to be here. His problem is that he keeps cutting back in once he gets to the line. He can do a job. I think that's my frustration, Chris, is it's evident he can do a job. I know we're talking about very small samples here, but the first two games I've been unimpressed. And I think for some people that will raise the question is, does he want to be here? I think I'm in agreement with you, Chris. I think both Chris's here. I think he does want to be here. But we need to see more from him. And I was disappointed with his performance on Saturday. Do
you know, Jack, there's another player that we absolutely should talk about because it's fair to do so, and it's important that we do it because unfortunately we're getting grief for it already, even though we've not done anything wrong. We have to talk about Ben Gibson's performance against Wigan. A lot of people have said some really, really harsh things, which I do think. Just like, I mean, look, football Twitter's back, right? We're back moaning about football again. So I think things have been blown out of proportion. But there was two players that I really, really, really wanted to have a good game at the weekend. One was Todd Cantwell, good game, by the way, which we'll go to in a minute. Ben Gibson. And it's such a shame because I actually felt, obviously, and I know that's all that matters, apart from that pass that led to the goal, I thought he was really solid and our defence was solid as a unit. Obviously, Dimmy going out is a massive worry, but I think we should talk about that Ben Gibson mistake, Jack, because it's fair to do so. What do you think?
I thought Ben, I don't think he had his best game. I don't think he's fully fit. I think Dean Smith's first choice two are probably still Grant Hanley and Ben Gibson. It's frustrating because I think neither of our more senior centre-backs, they both had poor games to start. Hanley, terrible decision making in the opener against Cardiff. Gibson gives away the second goal. Look, these things happen. I think it could have quite easily been we were talking about Jakob Sorensen in the same light here. He gave away a really sloppy move, and it was a good save from Tim Krul that stopped that one-on-one chance going in. I think, Ben, that was a poor mistake. There was one in the second half where he kind of missed the header. I think in the Championship, Ben's a very solid player. I think it's unfortunate that happened. I think he will be the first to admit he had a poor game. I think he had a poor game on Saturday. But I'm still of the belief that our defence is the strongest in this division. I think maybe that changes now that Dimmy's injured. I like Sam McCallum. I don't think he's quite at Unulis levels. But what a delight to have that you're playing two centre-backs and out of that, you've got three to choose from in Hanley, Gibson, and Big Andy. You're almost gluttonous with talent there.
You said that in your review, Jack, and annoyingly, because I don't like to agree with you, I think you were right in your review. What I would positively challenge you on there is that you said he had a poor game. I don't think Gibson had a poor game. I think he made a poor mistake, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think it was you can't just say, oh, he was crap all game, because he wasn't crap all game, right? But I know all that matters is the mistake. Do you know an interesting thing about?
I tell you what it is, Chris. Mistakes like that, it's simply lack of match fitness.
I think so, because he got injured.
He was injured. I think early on in the season, and particularly when pre-seasons are kind of a bit all over the place, you're going to see mistakes like that.
Yeah.
And Wigan capitalised on one of them, and it was a nice finish from McLean.
Yeah, I agree. I think the other thing as well, which is interesting, is your choice of defenders, and someone will maybe quote me on this, but I'm pretty confident in saying this statistic. In the title-winning campaign last time, the choice was Gibbo and Hanley together. That was obviously when Big Andy was a bit too soon for Big Andy. And those two boys only lost 2 games when they played together. Yes, they drew a few, but they only lost 2. And I think so. So when people are saying these throwaway comments like, "Oh, I want Gibson out of the club" and stuff, like that is absurd. But he needed a good game, because I know that the mood towards him at the moment isn't so good. So
I was listening to not the Top 20 podcast. I think it was their pre-season predictions, and they said Grant Hanley and Ben Gibson, pretty much, if you asked any fan of any other Championship club, either of them would start in their side. And I agree. Let's not forget here that Ben Gibson's still relatively young. He's an exceptional Championship player, but he did make the mistake that cost us the goal. Ricky, now here we go. I knew we wouldn't go too long without chatting about Dean Smith. Quote me on this, says Ricky. Dean Smith will be gone by Christmas. What style do you think he's trying to develop? Everything tactically seems on the fly. You know what I think it is, Chris? And I do get where Ricky's coming from, because I haven't particularly seen a style. I think because we've gone from Daniel Farker, who was so stuck in his ways, and that sometimes was of the benefit and sometimes of detriment to Norwich City. Dean Smith's a little more adaptable. The players that we've got are slightly more versatile in the way they go about things, so we can be slightly more dynamic. And also, like, what are we judging Dean Smith's style on? Are we judging him on the Premier League, where you're having to kind of sit deep, soak things up, and hope for something good? And you can't judge him on pre-season because it's pre-season. You can't really judge him on the first 2 games because he's without his 2 signings in Isaac Hayden and Gabriel Sara. And then the first home game, we should have really won. The performance was okay. It was fine. So, like, if this hasn't changed and there hasn't been an uptick in performances and a style by, I don't know, mid-October, then, you've got reason to be concerned. But I think at the moment, I think he's got time to play with, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And in my opinion, and also my observations based upon who is tweeting what I would probably label anti-Dean Smith comments, at least, is that it's the people that didn't want Fark to leave that really want Smith out. And it's interesting, isn't it, Jack? I think this has been, a bigger contrast and more difficult transition than not just what Norwich City fans imagined and expected, but also what the club expected as well. Because, of course, people have cited this with me before. They've responded to me, well, Chris, the whole point in this sporting director structure was that, we could keep the style and just replace the manager. And actually, I probably do lean on that side of the fence. I think it's interesting what you say, Jack, about Daniel Farke was stuck in his ways. He absolutely wasn't stuck in his ways. In his last Premier League campaign, he probably tried at least 15 or 20 different formations and tactics. He completely lost his head. And do you know what? I'm actually bored of talking about Daniel Farke now. Like, it's actually doing my head in. Like, let's all move forwards now as a fan base. And look, Dean Smith might not play the type of football that you love because of what we've had under Daniel Farke in the Championship. Let's remember that, in the Championship, never in the Premier League. And, whether you like it or not, Smith, with this team, will get us results in the Championship. I think it will come good. I do, but I'll caveat what I've said and perhaps contradict myself by actually agreeing. I'll put this out there with Ricky. I always say this, Jack. You always take the piss out of me for this. I'll look at the table at Christmas, and then let's start talking about style of play and this and that. Do you know what? I just want to win games of football. Do you know what? I don't care how we win. Why are Norwich fans talking about style of play when we've been losing every single week? Let's just win games of football, then let's worry about style of play. Smith's brought in players, arguably not enough because we expected a higher churn than what we've had, which says a lot about the team and the thoughts of our team in the transfer market from other clubs' perspectives. Look, Smith's players that he's brought in, I'm liking the look of. I really am. I think the only one that I'm perhaps questioning where I'm like, I don't get that, is Ramsey. But perhaps that's about
kind of no risk though, isn't
maybe
it?
That's, I don't know, squad depth, cup games, maybe, I don't know. But, I know Sarah barely played at any minutes at the weekend, but I felt that he shifted the ball really well in midfield.
I like the look of Marcelino.
Yeah, a wonderful
buzzy player. That's what I'd call
brilliant chip through ball as well. In the first half as well. So I know that people will be annoyed at me saying it. To be fair, they'll be annoyed at whatever side I take. I just think we need to press the patience brake at the moment, folks. We do. Yes, it's a bit shitty, but we'll get through this turbulent period. And if you speak, what's interesting, Jack, is I think maybe I've got my yellow and green glasses on here. Maybe I'm just being too positive. Maybe I'm overreacting. If any Norwich fan watching this now goes and speaks to an opposition fan from another championship club and you say, where do you think Norwich will come this season? What do you think of our team? They'll all say it's one of the best teams in the league. It's one of the most experienced, probably the best managers in the league, and will be there or thereabouts. So
yeah,
I as I've tweeted before, I think we're just all feeling the low of the yo-yo again because we've not felt the high because we weren't in Carrow Road. So let's try. I'm saying this to myself as much as I am to everyone else. Let's try and calm down a little bit.
This is a nice way of looking at the Ben Gibson kind of discussion from Susanna. Hello, Susanna. We're only focusing on Gibson's error because we were incapable of converting any other chances. Had we done better in the final third, it wouldn't have mattered. Yeah, I completely agree. I think we were slightly unlucky. I thought the Pookie one that hit the bar was not unlucky. It was a good save from Amos. Another day we get a penalty, although I must say in real time, I didn't think it was a penalty. Having looked at it back, it was a bit of a horror tackle on Max Aarons. You probably bank on either Hernandez or Sargent putting one of their chances away. So I think it was just one of them games where you come out of it and you go, you know what, a bit annoying, but it'll happen soon.
But, and I'll stand with the negative side of the fence on this, Jack. Remember the shoulda bucket last season?
Yeah.
And how it wasn't just full. It was overflowing of shouldas. So let's be careful that we give them excuses too often. And I want our audience to hold us accountable to that as well. It's really important that we do that. Chrissy Dayton in with a shout here. Big Andy, I can only assume, will go for 80 million in the future. I tell you what, Chrissy Dayton's clearly making the most of our 20% Lakens offer. I love that from you. Absolutely.
I do see definite similarities between Ben Godfrey and Big Andy in terms of their... No, Ben Godfrey is a good football player.
Big Andy is 10 times the player of Ben Godfrey already.
Well, that's a compliment. But I mean, in terms of physical attributes, they're very similar. They're quick. They're good in the air. They're good with the ball on the floor. I like Big Andy. I think his development has been really impressive over the past season or so.
Let's get this up on screen. I think it's important that we try and be fair. Barry Bullshitter, obviously not brave enough to actually put his real face and name on social media.
Well, that might be his name.
Yeah, apologies. That might actually be your legal name, Barry.
Double B.
People are focusing on Ben Gibson because he's done it all last season and he has done it and he has now started again. You guys are so biased. We're not. We've literally criticised him. We've shown both sides of the fence. We've said that he's not been good enough in that game. And we've been really honest, right? We're genuinely not biased towards Gibbo. We know that he made a mistake. We've spoken about it. He'll know that it's not been good enough and that he'll need to improve and make sure that those mistakes don't happen again. This is a good one from Craig. This is where I'm at. I care more about the ball going to the net than how it gets there. Why have Norwich fans become so entitled? Let's just win.
Well,
let's just win.
Yeah, but I think there is a link between style and results, right? You want to see a consistent style, and that would hopefully contribute towards wins. The reason we're frustrated is because we're not winning.
But we're at ground zero again. We need to build again. It's as simple as that. It really is. So we've spoken briefly about these new signings, Jack. Let's maybe talk about tomorrow night, if you don't mind.
Birmingham.
It's Birmingham in the Cup. I would assume that you want all of the new boys to start, and that's what you want to see out of that game.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it was interesting to listen to Michael Bailey on Twitter today saying he almost thinks a cup run's important because when you look at on paper, I'm not sure if I'm fully in agreement with Michael here. He says the squad is incredibly deep and we need to kind of bed in certain players. I think We've already seen that Gabriel Sara will definitely be starting, so that's a positive. I think you'll probably see a few minutes for Marcelino Nunez. Isaac Hayden isn't going to be fit. Look, I'm going to be honest here. If we get knocked out, I'm not going to be too fussed. I think
you are so anti-cup.
I am in this division because it's fixture congestion. When we've got 7 players injured come March, and we're playing not March in October, and we've got Crawley away. No one will want to be playing it.
You've always been anti-cup. Stop lying to yourself. You're anti-cup no matter what league we're in.
So last time we won the championship, how did we get on in the cup?
Jack,
you don't remember the cup runs.
Jack,
we have no cup runs.
Jack, you literally came out of the womb anti-cup. Okay, we all know that you're anti-cup. Some people like the cup. Great chance to get young supporters into the ground, singing sections in there. That's a slight positive.
Well, that's a ban.
And it's a
ban for that.
You've got me going. Don't talk to me about that, please, because I don't want to talk about that. I'm not sure if this is the real Onel. Will the real Onel please stand up? He'll probably WhatsApp me if it is. Onel Hernandez, potentially it's the real Onel. We don't know whether that is his profile picture or not. He or they or she says Ramsey is a very good player. Well, there we go.
I think we must make it clear, because our good friend and sponsor Oliver Hill is a shrewd football fan, but he did think that we'd signed his brother Jacob, who scored against us last year and was buzzing. And then I had to kind of break the news to him that we've signed his slightly worse brother, which was a shame. Big fan of this. Sean, huge. I agree with Jack. The sooner we get out of the Carabao Cup, the better. Look, here's my take on the cup. Right, I see it as an extended pre-season game. I want to see the likes of Sarah and Nunez and Jordan Hugill and Angus Gunn, who I think should be starting in the Championship, and players like that starting football matches. Sam McCallum probably, who's going to be now needed in the league, and Nor. We need to be seeing these players, and it's a good chance to give them a run out. Should we lose, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. And that's my stance on it.
Birmingham, I've just realised it's so impractical to have a chocolate sponsor.
It is. Chris that says JR loved Charlton last year. I did like Charlton away, to be fair. And that was Milo Rashida scored that day. What a brilliant day in London that was.
Good. What else have we got to talk about? We've spoken about PP scoring for Birmingham. That's quite something. Is he? I assume he's cup tied. We're not going to come up.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Because if PP scored against us to knock us out the cup, I think
I'd almost quite enjoy it.
I think I'd struggle to come back from that. I think then I'd be Smith out at that point. At that point I would be.
In terms of Sam McCallum, because we've seen a few comments actually on Sam McCallum. Of course, he's probably now going to be starting. It was a horrible injury for Dimi Nunes, and that's such a shame, because I think Dimi on his day is one of our best players, and that's a big loss. He's going to be out for at least 2 months. Are you confident with Sam McCallum coming in there, Chris, from what you saw on, or what did he have, 40 minutes on Saturday? Chocolate's the answer.
I like Sam McCallum. I really like him, mate, and I think that he'll be that next one that we progress to sell on for a big fee. What I must say is I've seen quite a lot of criticism of Sam McCallum's performance when he came on, actually, which I felt was a bit unfair.
Who do you follow? I think you need a Twitter refresh.
No, I mean, mate. Well, I mean, perhaps I'm like you, but I look at different Norwich City opinions to try to understand what's going on in the wider picture. So I have seen that people will criticise. Look, I like Sam McCallum. I think he was chucked in there. He obviously didn't expect to be chucked in like that. Of course, I agree with Andreas Maitides there on YouTube. Dimi McCallum, of course. But I do think McCallum's a very, very bright prospect for the future. And actually, I think considering his age, he's quite calm and controlled on the ball. And I like what I see. I'm certainly not worried, and I'd certainly rather him there than Jakob Sorensen, who I felt has actually been really disappointing. Actually, I know he scored an absolute worldie in pre-season against Marseille, which is like Tony Andreu scoring 4 against Galston yet again, isn't it? But yeah, no, look, what I do need to say is away from Sam McCallum, I'm gutted about Dimmy. I'm gutted. And by the way, I'm so happy that Dimmy chose to stay with Norwich City because it shows he's connected. And it reminds me of when I interviewed Tim Close for the TNC podcast. If people haven't watched that for some weird reason, make sure you watch that. And Tim Close said, when we got relegated from the Premier League, I was basically wanting out of the football club. And and then he said, well, what made me stay is my connection with the club and its heritage and its location and the supporters. And I think that this is what's happening under Dimmy. I can feel that energy. And so it's so disappointing that he's got injured. I'm not obviously qualified to say so. I'm not so sure on the timing of that, particularly because of the Ben Gibson timing. I'm not sure I necessarily trust entirely what the club are telling us in terms of time of injuries and when players are back. I do think there's a bit of PR management in there. But yeah.
Yeah, I think let's just quickly discuss the midfield, because we're in a strange position with the midfield where most of our signings have been central midfielders and they're either not fit or haven't played, or there's something going on. Sean says, I think we really miss an Alex Tete Oliver skip in midfield. We need Hayden to be fit and playing. What flavour is that, Chris?
This is Banoffee flavour.
Nice. Good?
So good, mate.
You eat and I'll talk. Yeah, I agree, Sean. I think the midfield still looks unbalanced. I thought the weakest point on the pitch on Saturday was that midfield. I don't think Kenny McLean had a particularly good game. I'm actually kind of a fan of Kenny in the Championship. I think he can do a job. I think Jakob Sorensen has been poor the first couple of games. I'm still not overly sure if Dean Smith nor Jakob Sorensen knows the strongest position that he plays in. I always thought he was a central midfielder, and then I watched him. I don't think you are, and I think he's too small to be a centre back. I think the position we'll probably see him be playing in more of now is left back. Now that we're kind of down to Sam McCallum, and I think once Isaac Hayden's fit, and I think once Gabriel Sarra is fit, I think that's suddenly looks like quite a strong midfield. You've got Marcelino Nunez who can play just in front. You've got Toddy Cantwell who can drop deep. Yes. I think give it a few weeks and that midfield will start to look a bit livelier.
But let's be careful with that. A few weeks, 2 weeks, not like no more than 2, Jack. Like we need to be getting results. Like we needed to start fast. We've limped over the start line. We need to win games of football as fast as possible. Even the midfield, even the existing midfield, without the new signings, 100% should be winning games of football in the Championship, Jack. So let's be careful here. Let's make sure that we understand. The quality is there for the Championship, and they're not playing well. It's because they should have been sold because of the mentality.
I'm also getting slightly concerned around the feeling of kind of importance that Isaac Hayden will play. Like, I think on his day, he's clearly a good player. He's very injury prone, and like it's always said, isn't it? Like,
is he?
You become a better player the more time you don't play, and I think that's kind of like, I think Isaac Hayden will be an upgrade on what we've already got, but let's be careful putting too much pressure on him. We haven't seen him play in a Norwich shirt. He's still not fit. And all of the Newcastle fans I've spoken to are like, yeah, he's a good player, but limited. I keep hearing that word, limited.
Well, look, and I'm speaking it. I'm helping myself here as much as everyone else. I'm not getting excited or trusting a signing under this current regime, because until they prove me wrong, because the last 2 Premier League windows have been like genuinely abysmal. So look, I'm hopeful, but I'm not getting carried away, and we certainly shouldn't be putting our mortgage on Hayden changing our. Look, I really like Hayden. I think he's such a good Championship signing, and I actually think he'd be a very good Premier League signing, Jack. But
you just said you weren't going to get carried away. Now you're saying he's going to be a great Premier League.
I'm just saying, like, this team that we've got now, they should be getting results, Jack.
Yeah,
they should be getting results, regardless of these new boys coming in. So,
So where are you at with things? Like, are you confident we will start to pick up wins? Because I'm looking at Hull and I'm thinking that's our toughest of the three we will have played so far. I think Hull have got something about them.
Yeah, well, yeah, but do you know what, Jack? This is going to sound so weird. Maybe it's because I'm almost a full Lakens in. I quite like that. I actually quite like that they've got something a bit about them. I actually think that we'll do much better against the better teams in the Championship this season than the worst teams. Wigan were always going to come and pop the bus and kick the shit out of us.
Wigan are Wigan.
Wigan are something, I tell you, but they're certainly Wigan. I think we'll do well against Hull. I think Hull, particularly at home. By the way, Hull. Sorry, can I just quickly say something about Hull? Oh my Lord!
Careful, former city of culture.
No, yeah, they bought it. That's fraudulent. That is the second worst place in the UK by a country mile. I will never ever go to Hull. Do you know last time I went to Hull? We lost 1-0. Ricky Van Wolfswinkel played. Oh, it was awful, mate. Oh God. Anyway, Hull will try and attack the game at home, and I think we'll hurt them. I think we'll hurt them, and I think we'll come away with all 3 points.
We'll put in a Hull of a performance.
Yeah. Yes.
What would you change? Final thing, like any personnel change going into the Hull game in terms of the starting 11.
Yeah, definitely. I 1,000,000% want Sarah to start. I 1,000,000% want Nunes to start again. I would definitely start with Anel, and that's not bias. It's because he broke down the lines more than any other winger out of these first 2 games that we've seen. So I'd start Anel as well. If I was feeling particularly ballsy and perhaps I'd had a few Lakens, I'd actually consider starting Jordan Hugill as well. Wow. I want to try something different, because we've not got a win yet. And actually, I think maybe Jordan Hugill might...
Instead of Pookie or with Pookie?
I don't know. Maybe with, maybe without. I don't know.
Well, no, you can't sit on the fence. You can't go ballsy and then sit on the fence.
Go on then. I'll say it. Instead of Pookie.
Wow.
I'll be brave. I'll say instead of Pookie. But I definitely want to see the new boys start. I think the defence as it is, including Gibbo, by the way, fine. Keep it there. Obviously, we'll play McCallum instead. Well, I hope that we'll play McCallum instead of in Dimmy's place, but potentially we'll have Sorensen there, who, by the way, had a great Championship campaign at left back. Let's not forget that. We were all singing his praises at left back last time. So yeah, I think that on the whole is what I do. Like, I want to see the new lads. I want to see Anel start because he's got the bundles of energy that we need to break teams down. And almost creates the opportunity for potentially Sargent to come on later, maybe. I'm not sure whether Milo Rashica is warranting his starting place in the side at the moment as well. And I'm a big Milo fan as well, by the way, but facts don't care about feelings, as you hit me with on Twitter the other day, Jack. So yeah, but what does everyone else think? And I'd, for everyone watching now and watching back, do let us know. Get involved in the conversation on Twitter at TalkNorwichCity. Feel free to reply, retweet to our live post and get involved in the conversation. It'll be fascinating to see. But before Hull, I'd argue that this Birmingham game is actually more important. And by the way, I really hope this Birmingham game almost answers the questions about style, Jack, because it's doing my head in. So I really hope that Dean Smith almost goes full strength against Birmingham, actually, and let's smash their back doors in.
Look, this 48 minutes has gone incredibly quickly. We'll have a few more moments. Chris has a theory. I have a theory for you. I think that Mark Attanziano has already bought Michael Folger's shares and invested. We will announce at window close. Else, where's the money come from? After Webber said we didn't have any. Well, I think we all know that's going to go through. I just don't know if it has done yet. Stylus says, does Big Adam Eder get much game time when he's back?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
I think the thing we're all forgetting here is like you get to because we've got basically a fully fit squad at the moment, like barring a couple. You get to October and it's like a warfare in the Championship. There's players falling injured left, right, and centre. We will need every single player we've got. There will be games where we don't have a centre back to choose from, and like there will be games where we don't have a striker to choose from. Everyone will get a run out at some point. I think it must be really difficult keeping everyone happy at this stage of the season. I agree with what Chris, he hasn't spoken too much sense in this podcast, but he did speak sense surrounding Jordan Hugill, that he feels like a good team player. And I think we've got a lot of those in the squad this season. I think when they're needed, they will step up, and I'm fully in agreement with that. Look, I'm really excited. I was genuine. You know what was nice on Saturday? We didn't win. The sun was shining. We dominated a football match. It was nice us having the ball rather than the opposition. I've missed that. I just really enjoyed it. I thought the performance was okay. It was nice to see my friends. I'm feeling optimistic for the rest of the season. I think we'll pump Birmingham. We won't. We'll edge past Birmingham. We'll beat Hull, and everyone will be confident. I've just got a good feeling about this week. I really have.
Oh, I love that from you. I love that from you, Jack. Good to hear some optimism out of your mouth. Finally, it really is. But look, let's look at these next few fixtures afterwards, right? Let's have some real talk now. We need to see a convincing win against Birmingham tomorrow night.
Yeah, fine.
Let's up our aspirations here. For God's sake, we shouldn't be edging.
We'll beat Birmingham. It'll be 3-1.
We should not be edging past Birmingham in the cup.
I think they're top of the league, or they were top of the league for a bit.
I'm not buying it. We should be battering them. They're in a worse state than Ipswich behind the scenes, mate. We should be battering them, okay? I'm seriously saying it. And I love Brummy Joe and the boys there, and Will Brazier as well. But we should be battering them. Hull away, that's tough. Let's just win that game, however way, shape or form. Huddersfield at home, bit of a toughie, but Burnley battered them. On
Huddersfield are a mess, 3-0.
I agree. I agree. Burnley battered them, so we should be winning. But anyway, my point is, Jack, we need to see wins, and we need to see them fast. So although I'm saying patience in terms of the criticism that we're giving, I'm not sitting here saying I'm going to be like this super pro, positive, optimistic person until Christmas, because I want to see wins and I want to see them now, and I don't care how. Let's just win. It's as simple as that.
I think I've seen a good enough mix of things in the first two games to think that we will win enough games to at least be competitive this season.
Here's something. What do you think of this, Jack? Ryan Thompson on YouTube says, panic stations if we lose tomorrow?
Not tomorrow. I couldn't care less about the cup, Ryan. I'd like to see a promising
performance.
If we lose on Saturday, then not panic stations, but yeah, like pretty depressing. I think at this stage in the season, I know that results are important. We've traditionally been slow starters in this league, but I think as long as the first 5 games, as long as the performance is there and backed up with a couple of results, I'll be okay.
And let's not forget Barker's 2 title-winning campaigns, slow starts to the season.
Yeah.
So even the Fark lovers that think that he was like this disciple that saw Jesus in Nazareth and he could do no wrong, he had pretty average starts to his championship campaigns before he got to grips with his squad and what he was doing and the rhythm of the league, if you will. So yeah, that's my speech. And my other speech is buy some Lakens, 20% off, and seriously, buy Nor. And if it's anyone's birthday coming up, get one of these little boxes. They are absolutely outrageously tasty. And might I say, Jack, because I'm assuming we're finishing now, if you enjoyed this live podcast, getting involved in the conversation right there in the moment, chuck us a tweet at TalkNorwichCity on Twitter. I'm going to retweet all of them as a thanks for your support tonight. I really appreciate you guys getting involved yet again for another season. There's going to be some exciting stuff coming up over the next few weeks. I'm going to be interviewing, I can't say the name, but I'm going to be interviewing someone that I think certainly the ladies will love.
Oh, wow. Is it me?
In the next few weeks. It's certainly not you. I can tell you that for sure, old boy. So massive thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Do give us a tweet if you've enjoyed this, because my point, which I'm getting to slowly, this is what happens when I'm finishing my Lakers, is if you enjoy these podcasts rather than the pre-filmed stuff, do let us know, because for Jack and I, it's easier to jump on camera. It's a lot of editing and work goes into the normal face-to-face ones. So let us know if you're loving it. And I love how people are guessing. Let us know if you're loving this one, and we'll be sure to do more for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. And let's end on a positive from Duncan, who says, I'm going to Hull on Saturday and I'm not feeling confident. Thanks very much, Duncan. Thanks for watching, everyone. And we'll see you very soon. We'll be back to review the Birmingham game. Well, I will be anyway. Have a lovely evening. We'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.